Hi, I thought I'll let you in on a couple of best practices that has been really helpful to me in using Zoom and in conducting a class on Zoom. The three things I have in mind are the following. One is that you can schedule a recurring meeting and write down that number, and that becomes your number that you use for every class at any time. So you don't have to every time go back and reschedule a new meeting and try to remember the number. You do it once and you're all set. Number two is where when you first enter a meeting, students have a lot of difficulty setting their audio and videos, and making sure that their settings are connecting the app to their laptop or their mobile phone. So I can just show you very quickly how to guide them in doing that. And number three is during the class, often there's a lot of background noise. And so there's a button called Managing Participants or Participant Management, where you can also activate that and continuously and repeatedly mute everyone so that you don't have this ongoing distracting background noise. I think those three things have been very helpful to me in conducting classes online. So let's see if we can show you how to do all three of them. Okay, I'm now sharing my screen with you. So when you log on to Cal State LA, this is what you get. On the left-hand side, you get a bar with a lot of different options. I've already moved my Zoom conferencing software from the launchpad at the bottom up to here. So it's a shortcut for me, but you may have to actually go through this list down here to find Zoom. So when you get to this part here, you can schedule a meeting and the topic of the meeting will now be called, you can edit the topic of the meeting and call it for example, classes with Dr. Afary. And then you will, instead of setting the time, you just click on recurring meetings, and you also check that recurring at no fixed time. And you also make sure, this, I found this also helpful, is that you'd actually allow, when people come in first, they come in with their videos turned on. So everyone, both host and participant, because often they're having a hard time trying to figure out how to turn on their videos. So this will cut back on some of that problem. And you make sure that everything else remains the same. And you can also assign a alternative host. So if you have somebody else that you would like to assign. Oh, there's also one other things. You can also allow people to join the meeting before you join, which is a good idea because sometimes you may be a couple minutes late and you don't want 30 people waiting for you to join the meeting. So you enable them to join before the host. And now you save. And now as you can see, you have here a number 491-895-301. That is going to be your permanent number for your Zoom meetings, for your classes. And the class, the title of the meeting is, in this case, it's Classes with Dr. Afary. You can copy the invitation here and copy the meeting invitation and then use this to send emails and announcements over Canvas to all of your students. This is what I do. You can also edit the invitation as well too after you copy it. So you can go through this and edit and take out a lot of the extraneous information. Now, once you enter the meeting, and I'm just going to start this meeting. Okay, welcome back. New backdrop as well too. So the second step that I found helpful, a practice that I find helpful, is that when you first start a Zoom meeting and you have people logging on, they're having a hard time figuring out how to connect their audios and their cameras to between the Zoom application and the laptop or the mobile that they're using. So what I would tell them is that here, first of all, you have to make sure that they're moving their cursor so that they can see all these icons, because as soon as you stop moving your cursor for more than 10 or 15 seconds, then the icons usually disappear. In this case, they're not disappearing, but usually they do disappear. So that as they move their cursor like this, you ask them to go to the bottom left of the screen, and where they see a microphone icon and they see a camera icon. Right, they can actually mute themselves by clicking on the, but they can also put in a new setting. They can click on this arrow next to the microphone to go to their audio settings, or they can choose from over here, or they can go to their audio settings, or they can also go to the arrow next to the camera icon and choose their video settings and make sure that the video is connected to the camera on their laptop, is connected to their Zoom conferencing. So those are the things that you can tell your students to help them at the beginning of the class, especially the first time around, to get started. Next thing you want to do, and notice now that the icons are no longer there, so as soon as I start moving the cursor, the bottom icons will appear. Next thing you want to do is you want to use this feature here called Manage Participants. And Manage Participants will help you, first of all, you can see who's in the meeting. Sometimes I get up to a list of 30 or 40 people in there, and I often take a screenshot to take attendance. But the reason we're here is to let you know about this feature here at the bottom. Mute all and unmute all. Often when you have 30 students logging in, there's a lot of background noise, there's dogs barking, there's friends talking to them, and it can be really distracting. And instead of constantly having to ask your students to please mute themselves, all you have to do is just go over here and use this feature, mute all, and continue, confirm it. Or as soon as you finish lecturing and you want to ask them a question, instead of asking them individually to unmute themselves, you can again go back down here and unmute everyone and have them speak. If it's too noisy, yes, then make sure that you ask them to mute themselves. One other last thing is that you probably all know about this, but Zoom has this feature called Share Screen, where you can then share your laptop screen top, the screen, the desktop on your computer, or you can also ask your students to share their screen if they're giving a presentation, but that's for a different video at a later date. So here you have it, 3 different practices. First one is setting up a recurring meeting instead of every time going back and setting up a meeting with a new date, with a new number. Secondly, helping your students to very quickly set up their audio and video by using the settings. And then thirdly, using this feature down here called Manage Participants to mute everyone or unmute everyone, or to do various other things as well. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.